What was the first big news event that you remember hearing or watching as a child? The fall of the Berlin Wall. To be totally honest, I was only 4 and I had no idea what was truly happening and how significant it was. However, my mom was so focused on the news that she totally forgot my bedtime for a whole hour. As a 4-year-old that hated going to bed, that was amazing. Black kids being allowed to join our school. I was in 5th grade and grew up in apartheid South Africa. Crazy stuff to happen in our lifetime. I'm only 42. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. The death of Princess Diana. I didn't fully understand, I just knew it was upsetting adults. The Berlin Wall coming down. It was also the first time I heard the expression "holy shit" uttered. Everyone worried that computers and the internet wouldn't be able to switch to the 21st century. It felt like something big was about to happen and then nothing happened. Oklahoma City bombing. Gas crisis in the 70s. Don't understand it but remember seeing cars lined up at gas stations on the news. 9/11. I was in 2nd grade and trying to understand what was happening was hard for me to wrap my 7-year-old mind around. Edit. I was not expecting to get this many upvotes, thank you all so much. Halley's Comet. It was talked about everywhere, it was even on the cover of my kindergarten yearbook. People talked about it with such wonder and reverence, almost like it were a spiritual visitation, and I never got to see the frigging thing when I had the chance. 3 human heads found in refrigerator headline on the afternoon paper when Dahmer was caught. Challenger explosion. Teachers all brought our kindergarten class into the cafeteria to watch. Then boom boom, teachers all rushed in a panic to shut off the TV and usher everyone to their home rooms. I can't remember anything about their response. But I remember watching that on the TV cart and teachers scrambling. I can't even remember my teacher's name. OJ and Bonagate, or whatever they called Clinton's thing. The O.J. Simpson chase in the white Bronco. Assassination of JFK. The huge fireworks in 1976. Oil embargoes in the news all the time. It becoming the 80s. Mount St. Helens erupting, putting ash on everything in our neighborhood hundreds of miles away. Thriller. Columbine. Adam Walsh. My aunts' grandmothers always made sure that we knew we'd end up decapitated if we ever wandered off in a store. Neil Armstrong walks on the moon. I wasn't quite 6 years old. The Tylenol murders. Such a bizarre thing. The disappearance of Maddie McCann. I don't remember much of it, I just remember all the news channels showing the same photos and videos of her. I came down for breakfast and my mother was crying at the table watching the Today Lennon had been killed. I remember when Ronald Reagan got shot. The Jim Jones tragedy. I was walking through the living room when the news showed all those people and asked my parents, "Are those people dead?" and was rushed out of the room. I've never forgotten the image. The death of Selena. Elian Gonzalez. 9/11, the classic millennial answer. Edit before even more people keep swarming me with the same thing, the classic later millennial answer. 9/11. I was 8 and my birthday is 9/10. That year we had to celebrate on the 11th because my dad couldn't get off work. Needless to say, there was no celebrating my birthday that year. Hurricane Katrina. Oh geez. So old. Moonwalk. Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm. First big world news event that I clearly remember. 1991. This is very local, but I also remember the news from when a tornado ripped through a trailer park in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada in 1987. It was labeled Black Friday. The first moon landing. I watched it on a black and white TV. Was living in a small market town in Somerset, UK. I was 7 at the time and I don't think I appreciated the enormity of the event. The capture of Saddam Hussein. Lockerbie. It's a couple of hours down the road. We had family there. We were in a restaurant at the time and the waiter told some people. We overheard. He was saying that they didn't think anybody in the town had survived, so we were terrified. Got home sharpish and watched it on the news. Luckily our relatives were not injured, but it was awful watching the footage on telly and hearing the witnesses talking about what they'd seen. JonBenet Ramsey. I had only just turned 5, so close in age to this poor girl. My grandma was obsessed with the case and it really stuck with me. Closely after was Princess Diana. When baby Jessica fell down the well. My parents took my older sisters and I to a fair the second night she was down there. They ended up having to carry 5-year-old me around the whole night because I was too anxious and distraught to enjoy any snacks, games, or rides. Space Shuttle Challenger live on TV exploding. Every classroom in the USA had it playing live. Obama getting elected when I was 5. My mom would look at the projections every morning leading up to it and I remember her celebrating when he won. I was way too young to understand politics at all, but I knew him being the first black president was a big deal. Elvis dying. I think for me it was the killing of bin Laden, although I really don't remember much big things I saw in the news when I was younger. Sadly, the Dunblane massacre. I was the same age as the kids and was also in PE that day. I don't really remember the news itself, just my mom crying so much when she got home and hugging me very tightly. In the days following, lighting candles in church and at home in remembrance. I'm Scottish, by the way, for context. Chernobyl meltdown. Vietnam War daily killed and wounded counts on the national news with Huntley and Brinkley. The fall of the Berlin Wall. I remember an episode of Alvin and the Chipmunks where they sang about it. LOL. Columbine. Might have been slanted since I was living nearby in Denver suburbs, but it was constant and traumatized me as a little kid for sure. They showed it all on repeat. The Watergate scandal. For me it was US Airways Flight 1549 emergency landing in the Hudson River. 100 people survived, 0 casualties. What a miracle. I was like 6 years old at the time. Pre-9/11 Dale Earnhardt's death, watched it live with my dad. Post-9/11 Columbia disaster. The eruption of Mt. St. Helens. We lived on the opposite side of the country and I wasn't even in kindergarten. My mom had the early morning cartoons on for me while she was cleaning up the kitchen from breakfast and the news alert interrupted Rocky and Bullwinkle. I remember feeling scared for the first time and trying to understand how. Obama beating McCain. I thought McCain sounded like a cooler name and was bummed he lost. 3 Mile Island. Pretty scary as a kid in Pennsylvania. Tiananmen Square massacre. Princess Diana's death. I vividly remember watching her funeral as a young kid and the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. I was the same age as her, so my parents talked about her a lot. Casey Anthony's trial for killing her daughter. I was 7 when it happened. I didn't understand much when it happened, I just knew that it was bad. Princess Diana's death. I woke up to my mom sobbing in front of the TV. The fall of the Berlin Wall. First time I remember my parents letting me stay up late to watch the news and telling me it was history happening in front of our eyes. Oklahoma City bombing and OJ trial. I think I remember John Lennon getting shot during Monday Night